deep seated hate. Now's the time and drawing near. Death connection controls your fate. Rip the diamond from a death form take. Convulsion takes the place. A repulsive, menacing state. Kill all emotion with the last revelation with no success. I waited for death until the stretch. Master gained of distorted lurch. Deconstructive, discussing operation. Manipulative, grotesque horror execution. Killing innocent bodies as solution. Gaining from the death mental institution.
think it's safe to say that Crown Jewel was better than a C rating, huh? Gonna be curious to see what ESPN gives them on Monday morning. Maybe that C rating snaps some sense into Triple H. Crown Jewel was one of their best PLEs all year. I'd actually put it up against Elimination Chamber and Evolution. It's pretty tough to argue that when you go into a show with two huge matches like John Cena, AJ Styles, and then a main event of Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. But then we had the ladies, both ladies matches killed it. And Roman Reigns and the story with the bloodline seems to be getting more interesting. And the crowd in Perth, they killed it. And they made the show that much better on this Saturday morning. Now it's Saturday afternoon, and it's happy hour, and we're going to the venue, man. And I'm walking downstairs into my mother's basement because we got the best happy hour specials in the business, and we got the best damn fucking show in the business. And when I get there on this Saturday afternoon, I want to know, what the fuck are you guys drinking? I'll see you over there.
Why has Triple H been so successful? Why is Triple H running WWE better than Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard on Monday and Friday night? Long-term booking.
What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. This is your WWE Crown Jewel 2025 post-show for your Saturday, October 11th, 2025. I am your host, JD, from New York, as always, coming to you live from the OTS venue inside my mother's basement. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on this Saturday afternoon, wherever you may be. Man, it's quite the schedule for these WWE shows, man. I don't know how you guys operated. Last night, well, yesterday, SmackDown aired at 8 a.m. and only the true sickos watched the show. I was not watching any pro wrestling at 8 a.m. on a Friday, let alone SmackDown. But I waited till the evening to watch SmackDown like a normal human being at its regular time slot. I went live with the post show like we usually do on Friday at 10:30. And then I ended up playing Battlefield until 2:30 in the morning. So me waking up to watch Crown Jewel at 7:55, my alarm went off. Yeah, I wasn't really feeling all that hot. Luckily, I got some damn good coffee at the house. I was feeling all right. Watched the show at 8. Show ended by 11:30. Took a shower. Laid down on the couch for an hour and a half, and here I am. Ready to go. I got my Celsius Fuji apple pear, which is delicious, by the way. And I'm ready to go for today's post show, man. I know it's a little different. Normally, these shows happen in the evening. It throws me off. It throws the views off. It throws you guys off. Review happening at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I didn't really know what time to go live because I don't know what to do as far as maximizing the audience, but being that Saturday is filled with college football and everybody wants to be out and about and probably watching anything but pro wrestling, I figured now was the best time to do it because I didn't really feel like being here at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. later tonight, and I just want to sit down with a drink and watch the rest of Alien Earth, to be quite honest with you. So here I am, post-show. Crown Jewel. You know, WrestlePalooza, they made a big deal, a huge deal about WrestlePalooza being that it was the first ESPN PLE under the new WWE ESPN partnership. They ended their relationship with Peacock for the main PLEs on the main roster. Opted out of that early, fulfilled their commitments, moved over to ESPN. Peacock still has NXT and Saturday night's main event 4 or 5 times a year. Andre Sale over at ESPN, the Monday following WrestlePalooza, gave it a C rating, citing that Stephanie Vaquer and IYO SKY for the WWE Vacant Women's Championship, if that match wasn't as good as it was, or wasn't on the show would have been that much more worse. WWE did nothing to draw in the fans. They gave you a Brock Lesnar-John Cena match that ended in 9 minutes. They gave you another Vision and Usos match. They gave you that great women's match. They gave you a mixed tag team match with CM Punk, AJ Lee, Seth Rollins, and Becky Lynch, which was fun. And the one match everybody was looking forward to on that show. And then they gave you Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes in the main event, which went off the air in the most unceremonious, uneventful ways a WWE PLE could go off the air. Then you look at this show, and you look at what they did as far as the match card and the vibe and the hype around this show. Crown Jewel did not get the hype that WrestlePalooza got. So just going on into the show, it was already an easier show just to digest based on you watching the weekly shows and you watching WWE in general. They didn't overhype. They didn't push. They didn't use buzzwords. They didn't use all these fancy words. And Triple H wasn't out there shilling himself for the camera, promising things that he certainly wouldn't deliver on, like he usually does. So they had that going for them compared to WrestlePalooza. Then you look at the match card. Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed. Now, we saw that at Clash in Paris. It was a rematch from Paris, but it all makes sense in the grand scheme of things with War Games coming up and the Vision still battling Roman Reigns and the Usos. Or at least they are 3 of the baby faces that have a problem with the Vision. That was a fun match. Australian street fight. Then we got Stephanie Vaquer and Tiffany Stratton for the Crown Jewel Championship. Both ladies hold their respective women's championships on their respective brands. WWE Women's Championship on Tiffany Stratton. Stephanie Vaquer is the WWE Women's World Champion. Then you got John Cena and AJ Styles. and everything that went into that. Highly emotional. John Cena's got 4 dates left as a WWE superstar, and then he's gone forever. Then you got Asuka and Kairi Sane versus Rhea Ripley and IYO SKY, which has been one of the better stories in WWE that have carried Monday Night Raw. And then you got Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, also champion versus champion. WWE champion Cody Rhodes against World's Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins with the Men's Crown Jewel Championship on the line. The championships in that match weren't even of importance. It was all about the story. Now, you look at the match card, you look at the vibe, you look at the direction WWE took with this show compared to WrestlePalooza, it's like night and day. I don't know if that C rating snapped something into WWE's mind. I don't know if that C rating gave WWE a glimpse into the future with this ESPN partnership. They got to be on their best behavior. Otherwise, there's going to be some valid criticisms out there about their subpar product for most of 2025. But if you guys have been watching WWE the last 3 or 4 weeks, especially Monday Night Raw, you will see, and it's still very early to tell if there is a true turning of the corner for WWE programming, you will see that WWE, at least on Monday Night Raw, has turned the corner and has gone back to telling stories with characters that matter. Stories with characters that are already fleshed out. Stories with characters that, quite frankly, you, me, and the rest of the audience genuinely are emotionally connected to. SmackDown was a very good show last night. Way too early to tell if SmackDown's going to turn the corner because largely they've been just as bad as fucking Dynamite on Wednesday night. Largely apathetic, boring, lethargic shows on Friday. Little to zero creativity coming off Friday Night SmackDown. It's been a PBS variety hour. I don't know whether I'm watching NXT, Raw, or SmackDown. It's all 3 shows bunched into one. Last night, they finally did a genuine SmackDown show with SmackDown characters and SmackDown stories. That's why I enjoyed it more than I have in recent months. Now the PLE. PLE was good. I would say better than good. I think it was great. I'd give it a B+, to be quite honest with you. It wasn't a perfect show. But this show was the first show in a while where WWE gave you 5 matches and you felt like you wanted more. You felt like you wanted more because they did everything that they needed to do. The Roman Reigns, Usos, Bloodline story is now picking up steam, and I'm genuinely interested to see where those characters go. Because the story now involves the Usos and them looking for guidance from Roman Reigns. Jay wants guidance. Roman's been giving him guidance. Jimmy doesn't really like it because he feels like Jay is turning into the old Roman. Roman feels like we got to get this thing done, and the only way that it works is if we go back to what we were doing. What does that mean? That opens up a sea of possibilities. Roman tonight told both the Usos, I don't want to see you until Christmas. That line was thrown in there very purposely. We all know Roman's going to be a part of War Games. What is going to get him back on track, back on the same page with the Usos? Story. Roman told both Usos, I don't want any of your help. Literally on Raw. What do? They come out and help because the Vision is taking advantage of the no DQ rule. And what happens? The Usos fuck things up for Roman Reigns. They embarrass Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns now is blaming the Usos, citing, you embarrassed me in front of all these people, and now these people think I can't get it done on my own. Bronson Reed beat Roman Reigns thanks to the Usos' miscue. Bronson Reed is now one of 2 people in the last 5 years to beat Roman Reigns via a pinfall. The only other person to do that is Cody Rhodes. Bronson Reed now has pinned Roman Reigns and Kazuchika Okada in the last several years. Is he becoming a future legend and great? Sounds like it to me. Story. Now we figure out how we assemble this bloodline into War Games. Story. Stephanie Vaquer and Tiffany Stratton really didn't have much story. It was all about the wrestling match that was. I quite enjoyed what they did. It was short. It was to the point. They didn't overstay its welcome or their welcome. They didn't really do too much. And they had a very good wrestling match. And I think Tiffany Stratton needed that because coming out of that terrible Jade Cargill and Nia Jax disaster a couple weeks ago on SmackDown, she needed something to wash that bad taste out of everybody's mouth. And she did it against one of the best in the world. Then you got John Cena and AJ Styles. I already see the criticisms. Oh, but JD, they're ruining finishing maneuvers, JD. Who are you hearing this information from? Who are you hearing this information from? Are you hearing this from the AEW sickos? Where everything is a fucking finishing move? They could literally set someone on fire and they kick out of the fucking one on an AEW pay-per-view. Where are you hearing this information from? They're ruining finishing maneuvers. If you watch John Cena in the last 2 months, he's been doing the same thing over and over again. AJ Styles and John Cena was a perfect match for the setting in Perth, Australia. One that John Cena is going to look back at and probably deem his favorite match in all of his 2025 when it's all said and done. I don't know how you didn't like that match. And if you didn't like that match, you probably hate pro wrestling. And at that point, you should probably shut the fuck up. And people say I'm negative. And people say that I ruin everybody's fun and that I'm a cancer in the IWC. Yet you got people like this. They criticize me for the things that they supposedly think I do, and then they act that same way, and they're worse than I ever am. I enjoyed the shit out of John Cena and AJ Styles. Loved it. AJ belonged in that moment, and John Cena is going to look back at that as a crowning moment in his 2025. Rhea Ripley returned to Australia. She teamed with IYO SKY against the Kabuki Warriors. They gave them plenty of time. Plenty of time. And I feel like with the story that they're telling, I feel like it's only going to get better. Because now we got the tension between Kairi and IYO, or Kairi and Asuka, rather. We have Asuka and IYO potentially meeting one-on-one. I don't think that's over yet by a long shot. Rhea Ripley's eventually going to get back into the World Championship title picture. Who do you think she's eventually going to have to go through? We may be looking at a situation where Rhea Ripley and IYO SKY are the last two women in the Royal Rumble. Loving what those ladies are doing. And then Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. The story that went into this match, the story that came out of this match, it's exactly what you want if you're a fan of pro wrestling. The story coming into it was that Seth Rollins was driving himself crazy because Cody Rhodes let him know, you've never beaten me. The last time we wrestled, all 3 times, you never had any help. Now you surrounded yourself like you criticized Roman surrounding himself. You got your goons surrounding you. Are they going to show up and ruin the match that we're going to have at Crown Jewel? Cody made that very abundantly known. And then we get Cody Rhodes with the one-liner saying that Rollins isn't really running the division because if he was, who allowed Paul Heyman to introduce Brock Lesnar at WrestlePalooza when he wrestled John Cena? The tensions between Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins were showcased the last 2 weeks. I got to do it, Paul. I got to beat him, Paul. Paul Heyman knows that Rollins was going to beat him. But when Rollins asked Paul Heyman for his upfront honesty, what if I don't? Paul Heyman basically said, well, I'm going to have to reevaluate my decision on why I even joined your vision. And I'm going to have to reevaluate why I left Roman Reigns for you. Someone else that Seth Rollins cannot stand. Someone else that Seth Rollins believes he is better than. He had Cody and Roman Reigns' shadow looming large. And he needed to beat Cody Rhodes tonight to feel complete, at least for now. Paul Heyman tonight told the Vision to stay out of the match. Do not get involved. Unless Seth Rollins needs the boys. He did not need the boys. The Rolex came into play, and it was the Rolex that Cody Rhodes gifted Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 40 after defeating Roman Reigns and Cody using Seth as his shield to vanquish the bloodline. That's what caused the ending of the match. That was the turning point of the match, the Rolex to the face. Just like it was when John Cena used it on Cody Rhodes at the Elimination Chamber while he turned heel. That Rolex, man, I think Cody Rhodes needs to go find a new watch brand to represent. Panerai seems like a good brand for Cody. Or maybe a Patek Philippe. But Seth Rollins did it. Seth Rollins did it. Now, my question is, if Cody Rhodes was beaten by Seth Rollins and he didn't need the Vision at all, it makes you wonder, do the Vision really need Seth Rollins? Does Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed need Seth Rollins? Bronson Reed just beat Roman Reigns. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed have taken care of the Usos. Do they really need Seth Rollins? Seth Rollins clearly can handle himself. So what is it that Rollins is doing? What is Rollins' vision? Seems like the vision is already crystal clear for both Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. They don't need anybody. So that's going to be an interesting aspect going into War Games as well. Do they need their leader? Their leader showed weakness. Their leader continued to show weakness because he didn't beat him clean. He cheated to win. Do they need their fearless leader in Seth Rollins? Something else to pay attention to going into War Games and into Survivor Series. I thought this was a great show tonight. B+ is what I would give it. Some people in the chat saying ESPN already gave their rating. I don't know if that's true or not, but I thought Crown Jewel was one of the better PLEs of the entire year, especially when you put it up against all of the subpar shows that WWE's put on all year. 5-match PLE still kind of pissed me off. I'm looking for that minimum of 6, but Triple H has got his formula, and apparently WWE has listened to some of the criticisms because their shows have gotten a little bit better as of late. I don't know if it's enough to bring people back, but WWE certainly had a great show tonight. We got one more in Perth on Monday, and I'm looking for some storyline developments. I'm looking for some Roman Reigns Usos. I'm looking for some Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman. I'm looking for Cody, Seth Rollins, and how we start building towards War Games. We got a lot of stuff to look forward to, man. So if you guys are like me and you want some stories and you want a focus on stories, it looks like WWE is certainly getting back to that just a little bit going into Survivor Series, especially on Monday night. We'll talk about this show. We'll go over what happened, how we got to its conclusions in these matches. And I want to thank you guys for joining me here on this Saturday afternoon. This is your Crown Jewel post show for your October 11th, 2025. Tonight, we got a brand new sponsor. Tonight we're sponsored by Rex MD. We'll go over my friends over at Rex MD a little bit later on in the show. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Go check out all the content on the channel. There's plenty of it. We've uploaded every day this week. And we were live on Friday night with the Friday Night SmackDown post show. Very good show. We had upwards towards 2,200 people on a Friday night, which is great. So you guys must have really resonated with SmackDown as well. So go check that stuff out. If I do have time, I will hopefully, if there is news, get some content up for you guys tomorrow, as we here on the East Coast are expecting a lot of rain. So I might have nothing else to do but make content. So look forward to that. And again, we'll be live back on Monday, normal time. I'm not going to watch the show during the day. I'm going to preserve it for the evening. We'll be live at 11 p.m. on Monday, like usual, for the Raw post show. Hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 1,000 likes. We're already halfway there, so if you guys want to get in on that, please, it helps me out tremendously. Hit that thumbs up. 1,000 likes is the goal. Super chats are open. That's also a great way to support the show. It also helps me out tremendously. Everything I take from the super chats, I put right back into the show. So make sure you guys go and do that for me. Leave me a comment. Helps us out in the algorithm. And tonight we're sponsored by Rex MD. Like I said, we got a brand new friend to the podcast family, Rex MD. You guys are going to enjoy what I got later for you. We'll go over my friends over at Rex MD a little bit later on in tonight's show. Start at the top here, man. Crown Jewel. I did not watch any of the pre-show. It was way too early for me, and I was not waking up earlier than I needed to. So I did what I had to. I woke up at 7:55, came down immediately. There was like 8 minutes of introductions and people walking into the venue. I quickly made a cup of coffee, and we were on our way. Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed start the show. Australian street fight. Reed is out there with Paul Heyman. Roman Reigns is out there with no one. He told everybody to stay away. He wants to combat this on his own. I said on Monday, when I covered the Monday Night Raw show, and I said this again with Solomonster on Wednesday when we did Tuesday Night Titans. We were preempted by the head-to-head with NXT and AEW. Talked about this on Tuesday Night Titans this week, and we both said, and I said on Monday, Bronson Reed needs to win this match. Roman Reigns is operating at a godlike level. Losing for Roman Reigns means absolutely nothing, especially if you are a creative team. It is your job to be creative. And it's your job to be creative to protect Roman Reigns. Let's book an ending where it protects Roman Reigns and he doesn't lose with the no DQ stipulation behind them. Let's book a way to get Roman Reigns pinned, but also at the same time protect Roman Reigns because he's the biggest star in the company. Bronson Reed needed to win this match more than any other match that he's ever wrestled, ever. I am genuinely shocked, but also at the same time not shocked because I definitely said it needed to happen. Shocked that WWE went with Bronson Reed over Roman Reigns here. Roman Reigns has only been pinned by 2 men in the last 5 years. That is quite the statistic. Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40 and Bronson Reed tonight at Crown Jewel. Bronson Reed is Australian. You would think that he would get a little bit of a hometown pop. Nobody cared for Bronson Reed. Clearly the villain here. Roman Reigns came out, big entrance, big ovation. Australia immediately chanted as soon as the match began, "Fuck him up, Roman, fuck him up." I love that, man. It's like an old ECW chant. Reigns was all over Reed for the first 6 minutes. Being that this is an Australian street fight, I wondered what was the difference between this and a normal Joe Schmo street fight. Apparently, the difference is you get to use Australian sports equipment in this type of match. We got a rugby ball thrown at Paul Heyman. We got a cricket bat across the back of Bronson Reed. Reigns grabbed the microphone and told the fans if they wanted tables, because, you know, they always got a chant within seconds of a no DQ match starting, "We want tables!" Wrestling fans are the dumbest species known to man. God, I fucking hate that chant. Like, bro, they'll bring out the tables. We don't need tables within 45 seconds of the bell ringing. So Roman said acknowledge him on the microphone if they want tables. They did. Everybody threw the ones in the air. Reigns grabbed a table. Reed attacked him from behind and slid the table back underneath the ring because that's what heels do. Then the fans start chanting, "Reed's a wanker." Thanks, Wade Barrett. I'm assuming this will continue on Raw as they are still in Australia for Monday Night Raw. Reed attacked Reigns with steel steps and a steel chair instead of using the table. Reed opened up the steel chair, placed it upright. Reigns grabbed him and put him through it with a Samoan drop. A man that big, I don't know how that chair shot blow usually feels against someone the size of Bronson Reed. I'm assuming it still sucks. So Reigns follows with some clotheslines. Superman punch followed, but Reed blocked that. And he turned that into a jagged edge, which is his version of the DVD. He goes for cover, he gets a 2 count. Reed attacked Reigns with a stop sign. Again, another ECW classic weapon, stop sign. Especially if you play the old video games like No Mercy or WCW versus NWO. The stop sign was one of my favorite weapons in the game. So he's got a stop sign. Fans are chanting, read the sign, read the sign. Stop. They wanted him to stop. Reed instead hit a Uranage onto the sign for a 2. Reed missed the senton, landed on the sign himself. Reed also missed a corner charge and went face first into a chair wedged between the ropes, which was positioned there by Roman Reigns earlier. Reigns followed with a Superman punch. Reed goes down. Reigns goes for the cover. He gets a 2 count. Reigns then set up for a spear outside the ring, but you could tell kind of something was going to happen on the outside because of how slow he was running. Braun Breaker all of a sudden appeared out of nowhere and speared Reigns when he got into position. Now it's the Brauns 2-on-1 against Roman Reigns. They gave him a shield powerbomb through the announce table. Crowd is chanting yeet, yeet, yeet because they wanted the Usos to come out there to save the day. And right on cue, Jey Uso's music plays and they walk on out. Super kick breaker, and they start beating up on Bronson Reed. It's now 3-on-2 for the Bloodline, and it's in favor of the Bloodline over the Vision. Usos handed out big running simultaneous hip attacks. They gave Braun Breaker a 1D. He gets up after 30 seconds of no selling the 1D, and Wade Barrett was surprised that he got up from a 1D so quickly. The Brauns fought off the Usos on their own without any bullshit here. Reed shoved Jimmy off the top rope. Breaker gave Jey a press slam into a gutbuster. Breaker then speared Jimmy through the barricade, and the way that this was set up was that big aerial shot. Braun Breaker was kind of stalking him like a shark in blood-infested water, and he just ran, and he ran around the ring and tackled Jimmy Uso through the barricade. Always a great-looking spot, but kind of overdone. WWE has relied on this spot to really get Braun Breaker some reactions. It's not really as special as it was when he first started doing it. WWE usually goes to the well, and it runs very dry because they don't know when to stop. Reed was about to give Jey a tsunami. Reigns hit him with consecutive Superman punches. Reigns also punched Breaker off the apron when he came back after spearing Jimmy through the barricade. Reigns and Reed fought for position near a corner. And Reigns, he avoided a DVD. Jey went for a spear on Reed. Reed moved, and Jey accidentally speared Reigns through a table that was set up in the corner during the match. And this was the end of the match here because Jey fucked up too badly. He demolished Roman Reigns through this table. Breaker then takes care of Jey, spears him into oblivion. Reed and Braun Breaker move Roman Reigns into position, and we got a tsunami off the top rope by Bronson Reed onto Roman Reigns. And that was enough for Bronson Reed to get the 1, 2, 3. Bronson Reed actually pinned Roman Reigns here at Crown Jewel. Shocked, but at the same time, I'm not. Because it was blatantly obvious that Bronson Reed desperately needed this victory. I'm just surprised in the way of thinking about it. I'm surprised that because WWE does not hand Roman Reigns losses all that much. The last person to beat Roman Reigns in a tag team element, it wasn't even a one-on-one match, was Jey Uso, where it was the Usos versus Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. That was at Money in the Bank. Cody Rhodes and Bronson Reed are the only two men in a one-on-one aspect to beat Roman Reigns. It's crazy. I am surprised that WWE went with it because they don't hand out losses to Roman Reigns at all. It is an absolute rarity that Roman Reigns loses anything. He needed this. And I said going into Survivor Series, going into War Games, where I'm assuming we'll see the Vision against a collection of baby faces. The Vision need to be unbeatable. They need to win matches. Braun Breaker, if I'm booking this thing, I'm giving Braun Breaker and Roman Reigns a match at Saturday night's main event. It's the first Saturday night's main event away from NBC proper. It's not going to air on Channel 4 here in New York City or whatever your NBC affiliate is. It's going to strictly be on Peacock. So hopefully that means very limited interruption, meaning zero commercials. Hopefully. I would do Braun Breaker versus Roman Reigns at that show. I'd let them go and put on a banger. And I would have Braun Breaker also beat Roman Reigns. Whether or not it's clean or with help. These are the guys that Roman Reigns should be losing to. These are the guys that you preserved Roman Reigns not being pinned. This is what it really is going to do to the future. You preserve Roman Reigns as the true god of the company. He's like at a godlike status. You accumulate all of this just special feeling around Roman Reigns, and then you prep to give it to those who you want to build the future around. You're looking at the future right here in these two guys. Roman Reigns will take nothing. He takes nothing from losing to a Bronson Reed. He takes nothing from losing to a Braun Breaker. Like, what are you waiting for? There's nobody else that you really want Roman Reigns to lose to. These are the guys. These are the guys you want him to put over. There's nobody else. There's nobody else that matters right now. There's nobody else that's going to matter. You have to be in the moment. WWE, for the longest time, especially Triple H, has been safe. They love preserving their baby faces. They don't love beating their baby faces at all. They love to just keep it special. But what good is a godlike baby face if you're going to allow him to win all the time? Having him lose to guys like Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed literally do absolutely nothing to Roman Reigns' image and who Roman Reigns is. That's what I would do. They only did this match with Reed tonight because he's from Australia. And the last time they were in Perth for the Elimination Chamber, he missed the show because his wife was pregnant and due to give birth. So he didn't even make the trip. They gave him this match as they wanted him to be on this show because they wanted him to be on the last show and they felt bad about him missing the show. He didn't miss the show for any rinky-dink reason. But then they gave him this spot on the show, and then they gave him a win. It clearly shows you what they think of Bronson Reed. This was fun. I don't really want to see it again. I didn't want to see it tonight, being that we got it at Clash in Paris. But with the no DQ situation, it did present itself as a little bit different than what we got last time in Paris. And the tribal thief has now got one over on the tribal chief. What this means for War Games, I don't know. But Reigns is in the ring. He's crestfallen. He's upset. Jimmy and Jay are upset because they feel bad about blowing the match for Roman Reigns. He starts admonishing Jimmy and Jay Uso. I told you guys to stay away. I told you guys I didn't want your help. I told you guys I could take care of this on my own. Now in front of all these people, now it's as if they look like I can't get the job done on my own. He told them the whole world thinks I can't do shit on my own. I told you I'm going to do this on my own. And then he told the Usos, I love you guys. I love you, but I don't want to see y'all until Christmas. Crowd started to chant, someone's in trouble. Jimmy and Jay argued. Jay is yelling at Roman from the distance. He's always about him. He's always about himself. It's always about Roman and nobody else. I don't know what Jimmy was saying to Jay, but Jimmy he's been pretty on board with, he doesn't want Jay listening to Roman the way that Jay was listening to Roman, which got them in trouble in the first place. So I don't know what Jimmy's thinking about Jay, or if Jay now is believing Jimmy and what he was feeling about Roman, or the Usos back on the same page. Because Jimmy's seen all of this play out, and he knew it was going to end up the way that it was because Roman has always been Roman. Jay wanted to be more like Roman because He felt like he was not successful being himself. So he felt like if he was operating a little bit more like Roman, he'd have more success come his way. Jimmy didn't want Jay to be like Roman. Jimmy felt Jay was successful just being Jay. Jimmy felt Jay worked too hard to make himself unique away from the bloodline and away from Roman. That going back to Roman is only moving him backwards. There's a lot of element to this story that we're going to see play out. Now, we all know Roman Reigns is not staying away till Christmas because nothing else is coming up. After Survivor Series, there's no PLEs. That's it. It's over. We got a Saturday Night's main event in the beginning of November. We got Survivor Series at the end of November. We got December 13th, John Cena's last match, which is going to be focused solely on John Cena. And then after that, we got nothing till the Royal Rumble. So Roman Reigns is going to be at Survivor Series as it's the last PLE of the year. How we get Roman into Survivor Series. Now we get Roman into War Games, which we all know he will be a part of. That's the story. What is going to happen? What is going to drag him back to help the Usos? What is going to pull him back to say, you know what? I gotta fucking finish this. Maybe Rollins calls him out next. Maybe Rollins has vanquished Cody Rhodes. That shadow has now been lifted. Now maybe the only thing that he needs to do is take care of Roman, because Paul Heyman was certainly very strategic in mentioning Roman Reigns to Seth Rollins. You're going to make me question why I even joined your vision and why I left Roman Reigns for you. It's going to be interesting to see what they do to bring Roman Reigns back into the fold going into War Games. But the WWE with the Bloodline story, when the Bloodline story was hot, and we got the weekly segments and the weekly story of the Bloodline, every single week, you saw nothing but troll accounts. This is cinema. This is storytelling. This should get an Academy Award. The Bloodline story carried SmackDown. Carried. SmackDown was complete and utter dog shit without that Bloodline story. Some of those segments took up half an hour of a 2-hour SmackDown. Every single week. So they knew what they were doing there. WWE moved away from that. As soon as Roman Reigns lost the championship, they have not been the same. We got this spawn-off MFTs bullshit. We got Jay yeeting all over the place. He became a fucking walking meme and a walking entrance. And then people wonder why WWE and their creative went to shit, why people lost interest. Nobody wants to see this for fucking 15 minutes every Monday. It's garbage. WWE killed the fucking excitement about it. It was great for like 10 minutes. And then they just overexposed it and used that as a vehicle to generate excitement. Hey, these people, these fucking geeks are spending mortgage payments to go sit at these WWE shows to fucking throw their hands in the air like a bunch of fucking idiots. When all we wanted was fucking story. That's all we wanted. Now it seemingly feels like WWE is getting back to telling the stories with these characters that have already been fleshed out on television, characters that we are emotionally invested in, and going back to telling their story instead of using Roman Reigns for an injury angle, only to return 30 days later to fight whoever put him on the shelf, and then keep Jimmy away from television and put Jay on TV to do nothing more than 15-minute entrances. Story. They've gone back to telling a story with these three guys, and that's where they thrive the best. That's their best work, when they tell stories. I don't know what more needs to be said with these guys, but clearly they got Jay as a superstar, Roman as a superstar. I said this once, I'm going to say it again. I don't know if this is leading to getting Jimmy on the same level as Jay, or if this is leading to the Bloodline getting all back together and just going back to what they did because they want to accomplish what they accomplished all those years ago, and they want to get back what they have lost. Because they see Rollins just basically cosplaying as the Bloodline, and they don't want that because they don't believe that that's the way. They don't believe that's the guy. So Roman is certainly feeling some type of way too. So maybe Roman has got it in the back of his mind. If these guys are running the fucking show and they don't belong here, maybe we need to go back and do what we did before they came along and get back what is rightfully ours. Not only the show, the brand, but the championships. Because when Roman Reigns had the WWE Championship, and when the Usos had the Tag Team Championship, they ran this company completely. I don't know what Roman's thinking. I don't know if this is leading towards a babyface collection of the OG bloodline getting back together or them going completely heel again. I don't know. I think Roman is too over to go back to doing the heel bloodline. But whatever the case may be, I'm excited to see their story play out. There's a lot of different ways they could go about it. How are the Usos feeling? Where's Roman going? How are we going to bring him back? Is this going to bring Jimmy up to the level of Jay? Is this going to make him into a household name, a household superstar? Because right now he's the odd man out. He's just Jimmy Uso. Like, everybody knows Jay because of what he does in the entrance and the yeet and the merch, and everybody knows Roman. But who's Jimmy? Where does Jimmy fit into all this? He feels like a third wheel. So we'll see what happens. I thought this was fun. Right guy won. And beating Roman Reigns at this point of his career, it means absolutely nothing. He will brush this off, and people won't even remember it. But you know who's going to remember it? Bronson Reed. And it's going to do more for Bronson Reed than it will do for Roman in a loss. Moving on. Stephanie Vaquer. She went one-on-one with Tiffany Stratton for the Crown Jewel Championship, the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. There was no story for this match. This build had one of the worst contract signings in the history of contract signings. Some of the most uneventful contract signings have taken place when there's just no story around it. But this was just blatantly uneventful. These women don't have any animosity towards each other. They don't have any hatred for each other. They are put in a position because WWE loves their champion versus champion matches. Now, they didn't get as lucky with the women as they did with the men. The women's definitely was all about the Crown Jewel Championship. The men's, Cody and Seth, that was not about the championship. It was about the story. It was about Cody and Seth. It was about Seth beating Cody. The championships and the Crown Jewel Championship ring, it was secondary to what they had because their story is so deep. Their story is 3 years old. And their story obviously culminated at WrestleMania 40 where Rollins helped Cody after being opponents 3 times previously, Seth being Cody's shield. So it was not about the championships, whereas this was only about the championships, and this didn't have any story coming into it. Now, WWE made a big deal about Tiffany Stratton being undefeated in 2025. They really kind of nailed that point home every single week for the last several weeks on SmackDown. Tiffany Stratton's undefeated in 2025. Tiffany Stratton hasn't lost since January. Yeah, I get it. Thank you for telling me she's losing this match. Because when you pinpoint something like that, you know where WWE's thinking is. Now, they have strapped the rocket pack to Stephanie Vaquer so quickly, and it's so blatant. Normally, I don't like that because it goes towards an undeserving person or an undeserving character, undeserving superstar. I don't want to sit here and say Stephanie is undeserving, but I will say that I don't think that Stephanie has really earned her stripes on the main roster yet. WWE has failed to put Stephanie Vaquer in the eyes of the audience on a regular basis. They had this woman off of TV during SummerSlam build going into WrestlePalooza. They had her off of TV for about 7 or 8 straight weeks. Maybe she made one appearance backstage where they told her, we're going to find an opponent for you now that Naomi had to vanquish the championship or relinquish the championship. Like they disintegrated the championship and turned it into dust. Relinquished the championship. They didn't put her in front of the audience to really bring out her character and her charisma and her genuineness. We don't know who she is. We know who she is, but then the audience doesn't know who she is. The general casual audience doesn't know who she is. What is it about this woman you want me to like? What is it that makes this woman so special that you are pushing her to the fucking moon and strapping her with a rocket pack that is filled with so much jet fuel you don't know what to do with. Again, I don't want to sit here and make it sound bad because she's fucking great at what she does. I just wish WWE took the proper steps to really get her into the position of making her feel like she's earned it instead of just throwing the fucking world at her. They gave her the Women's Championship. They gave her the Crown Jewel Championship. I mean, her fans are probably going to look at it and love it and enjoy it. But people who are more down to earth and people who are a little bit more logical and level-headed, they're going to look at it and think, is it too fast, too soon? And am I going to want to see this woman lose it all before we actually start to fall in love with her like we do IYO or Bayley or anybody like that? Like, we're invested in those characters because they've been fleshed out and they've been given TV time. We know who they are. We know what they're about. WWE seemingly brought Stephanie up to television, focused on her for a little bit, took her off TV for 2 months, and now she's holding 2 championships. And both instances didn't really come with story. It's just, here's a championship, and they're just matches. We got to get focused. We got to get focused on building her in front of the audience. We can't sit there and just hand her championships because she looks great and she wrestles like a fucking megastar. We can't do that. Now, as far as this match, it did not overstay its welcome. You could tell that Tiffany Stratton wanted to really go out there and have a good match because the last time we saw her in the ring, it was with Jade Cargill and Nia Jax, and it was fucking awful. It was a fucking mess, and that botch is still being heard today. That pinfall botch. And the Jade injury really just made it a mess and put it over the top. So you can tell that Tiffany wanted to have a good match. It was physical. It didn't overstay its welcome. They didn't try anything too fancy. They went in there and had a stiff wrestling match. And they went about 12, 13 minutes, and that was it. That's all they needed to do. And obviously with the focus on Stephanie, obviously with the rocket strapped to her and the focus on Tiffany being undefeated, you kind of knew where this was going before the bell even rung. First time ever match. And they wrestled back and forth early on. Vaquer kept getting the better of Stratton. Obviously, she's the more experienced of the two. And they really kind of nailed the aspect home that Stephanie is the veteran and Tiffany's been doing this for only 4 years. So they wanted you to know that Stephanie was more experienced than Tiffany. But don't take Tiffany lightly because she's come a long way in those 4 years. Vaquer tried a submission. Stratton countered with a back suplex. She then followed with a handspring elbow. Beautiful looking Alabama slam for a 2. Looked like Stephanie's head bounced off the mat with the Alabama slam. Thankfully, she was all right. Vaquer came back with a dragon screw, which always looks... Stephanie's dragon screw may be the best in the business. It always looks like she's about to tear someone's knee out. Corner Meteora. She goes for cover. She gets a 2 count. Stratton comes back. Backbreaker for 2. Stratton then tries a top rope swanton. Stephanie got her knees up. I don't know if the match was supposed to go longer. I'm assuming it was given the time that it was given, and it went the time that it was given. But the replay showed Tiffany off the swanton, off the top rope. It looked worse in the replay than it did in actual live action. And I don't know if Tiffany was hurt or not on the swanton bomb, but it looked fucking bad. She got the knees up, did Stephanie, and Tiffany came down legitimately right on her neck, on her upper shoulders. Awful looking. So hopefully she's all right. Vaquer hit Devil's Kiss. It got the usual reaction with everybody doing the Booker T in the crowd. And then she hit the old version of the SVB backbreaker for a 2 count. Stratton hit a rolling senton. She missed a prettiest moonsault ever because that's her setup. The rolling senton into the prettiest moonsault. pool was empty. Nobody was home. Vaquer quickly goes to the top rope after Tiffany missed the moonsault and she hit the spiral tap. It wasn't as beautiful as the one that she hit on IYO at WrestlePalooza, but this one was a little bit more brutal because she came down and the way she twisted in midair, she came down on Tiffany, not flat with her body, but she came down on her side, which looked a little bit more impactful on Tiffany. She eventually got the 1, 2, 3, and she wins the Women's Crown Jewel Championship ring, and she is the new Women's Crown Jewel Champion. Triple H is out there. She presents Stephanie with the Crown Jewel ring and the title. He put the title around her waist. It's so big, it covered most of her upper body. Ridiculous. Crowd chanted, "You deserve it." Jackie Redmond's in the ring. She handed Stephanie a microphone, and she cut her very genuine babyface promo. She said that they did this together. The title represented all the emotional support the fans have given her. She followed her dreams. The fans believed in her, and now she believed in herself. Now, La Primera was the world champion and the Crown Jewel champion. She posed on the second rope. Fireworks went off, and they end the segment and the match. About 10 minutes or so, Stephanie Vaquer beats Tiffany Stratton. It was good. Was it better than the match with IYO? No. I don't think anybody expected it to be. But I think WWE presented something pretty predictable here. They stuck to their guns. They gave Stephanie the win. Like I said, they didn't overstay their welcome. They didn't try anything fancy. They didn't try to go 25 minutes to produce a great wrestling match for the lack of story that they told like fucking the other company does. We got no story here, but if it goes 40 minutes, everybody will be thinking that it doesn't need a story. WWE realized that this match didn't have any story, so it doesn't need to go 40 minutes to fucking tell a story that's non-existent. 10 minutes, all it needed. Stephanie is now a double champion in WWE, though she won't be carrying around this title like Mercedes and her fucking 10 useless titles. Only one title is needed, and Stephanie's title is more valuable than all 10 of Mercedes combined. Heyman's in the back. He congratulated Bronson Reed. Heyman said the vision of the future now meant Reed and Breaker. Heyman also told them to stay in the back if Seth Rollins called for help tonight in his match with Cody Rhodes. Heyman says we need to find out who the better man was. A little tough love from Paul Heyman to Seth Rollins, huh? Heyman was very confident in Seth Rollins beating Cody Rhodes. He was telling Cody, "You got this. You're going to win. I know you're going to win. You're the visionary, the revolutionary." Then Seth Rollins asked on Monday, "What if I don't, Paul? You're going to let everybody in the locker room down. You're going to let Braun Breaker down. You're going to let Bronson Reed down. You're going to let me down." And then I'm going to start thinking why I joined you in the first place and why I left Roman Reigns. Rollins didn't like that answer. That actually angered Rollins more than anything, mentioning Roman Reigns. Breaker, when Heyman left, he told Reed that he didn't like this. He asked Bronson Reed, "Well, what if Cody Rhodes won?" Heyman came back and he told him, "I think you guys both know the answer to that question." Meaning if Seth Rollins lost, that the vision is no more and that Heyman would go bye-bye. They dump Rollins like a sack of garbage. Story, folks. Story. These little things in between. I like it. John Cena. He went one-on-one with AJ Styles. This match went nearly 30 minutes. 27 minutes to be exact. AJ Styles came out first. He wore old school TNA AJ Styles throwback gear. Instead of wearing his long tights, his long pants, he wore the blue and white trunks. Cena came out wearing a yellow t-shirt. It was like yellow and green for Australia. His towels had kangaroos on it. WWE's done a phenomenal job of marketing John Cena merch in all the different cities that he has been in. I'm sure there is some geek out there that's got every towel and every John Cena shirt from all 36 cities and all 36 dates of John Cena's historic final run, which good for that person because it's probably going to be worth a boatload of money in years to come after John Cena's retirement. So the effort maybe was well worth it for that one individual that's gone out of his way to collect all these different John Cena shirts. The thing with the yellow John Cena shirt is John Cena came out, he pointed at the cameraman Stu, and he had everybody in the crowd showcased on camera from John Cena's point of view. More than half the audience in Perth was wearing yellow, and they were wearing this yellow John Cena merch that was specific for this show and this show only. It was quite the sight in the crowd. It was almost a beautiful thing to see that so many people came out and they would not be missing this show because John Cena's final international date was right here in Perth. It was actually a great thing to see. And John Cena was obviously very emotional in his own way about what he saw, not only with the entrance, but the way that fans reacted to some of the things that he did in this match. Alicia Taylor introduced John Cena like she usually does. Fans loudly chanted, "Thank you, Cena. Thank you, Cena." Cena then pointed to Alicia Taylor to introduce AJ Styles. Apparently, John Cena wrote a handwritten introduction for AJ Styles that he wanted Alicia Taylor to read for the live audience. She called him the definition of total nonstop action, the ace of the Bullet Club, and the face that runs the place. Styles seemed genuinely happy, and there was a genuine emotion on Styles' face and with his body language because he did not expect that. He was surprised by this intro, and obviously John Cena, like I said, he got his typical never seen 17, the last real champion, John Cena. Cena fended off Styles' offense for a little bit. He went immediately for the 5 moves of doom. He went for the AA. He got a near fall about 6 minutes into the match. He went for big moves right at the top. Styles caught Cena. It looked like he was going for an AA. And he hit the fireman's carry into the neck breaker. Now, I don't know if you guys picked up on it. Normally, the only one to call this move by its actual move name is Corey Graves. He usually says it. It's called a Ushigoroshi. Do you know who always called it a Ushigoroshi? No matter what. Oh my God, it's a fireman's carry into a neck breaker. That's the layman's way of doing it. That's the geek way of doing it. It's the geek way of calling it. Corey Graves usually does it. Doesn't do it all the time, but he usually does it. Mauro Ranallo always called it exactly what it was, a Ushigoroshi. So Michael Cole gave a shout out to Mauro Ranallo because he actually said Ushigoroshi tonight. I think we're going to have to start calling it by that because there's no other way I want to hear it called. And the shout out to Mauro, legitimately one of the GOATs. Legitimately one of the GOATs, and I miss him dearly. John Cena and AJ Styles, best match was their Royal Rumble match. You know who called that match? Mauro. And unfortunately, his commentary partner that night was John Bradshaw Layfield, the same guy that drove him out of the company. Fuck JBL. Cena hit Styles with a skull-crushing finale. He hit the Miz's finish. He goes for cover, he gets a 2 count. Styles followed with a rack bomb, signature move by Styles. spinning rack bong for a 2, and then he hits a Scorpion Death Drop. I don't remember AJ Styles hitting a Scorpion Death Drop, and I do wonder if this was paying homage to Sting. I don't know if that's the case or not. Michael Cole did not mention Sting by name. Styles countered an STF into a crossface. Cena countered that into Rusev's accolade, where we got chants of Rusev Day, Rusev Day. Supposedly there is the rumor of a 8-man tournament to take place to crown who will be John Cena's final opponent on December 13th in Washington, D.C. We went over this with the Solid Monster on Wednesday. I mentioned Rusev as being one of the men in the 8-man tournament because he's got history with John Cena. So hopefully we see Rusev in that, if that is actually the direction that they go. I also put The Miz in my fictional tournament, or my predicted tournament. I have both Rusev and The Miz in this tournament. 4 from Raw and 4 from SmackDown. So we'll see what happens there. But he did pay respect to Rusev with the accolade. Styles countered that into a Samoa Joe Coquina clutch. So I don't know if Samoa Joe and John Cena have any history together, but clearly AJ Styles and Samoa Joe do have history together. So Styles is on board here with paying homage to some of the guys that he also wrestled. If this was the direction that they were going for this match and they wanted to pay respect to all these guys, Styles was going to do some of his guys and Cena was going to do some of his. So Coquina clutch by AJ. Cena fought out of it, and then he applied the Walls of Jericho. Now, Jericho did get a name mentioned by Michael Cole on commentary, and the crowd in Perth started to chant Y2J, Y2J. I do predict Chris Jericho is done with AEW. I do predict Chris Jericho will be back in the WWE, and I do predict Chris Jericho will be back in the WWE as one of the 30 men in the Royal Rumble. That's my prediction. I think he's done with AEW. There's nothing more for him to do there. And with the way things are going there right now, Jericho is going to try and be a part of what is a sinking ship. Jericho does not want to ride out the last years of his run as a pro wrestler in a dying company. So he's going to join the WWE, and he's going to become the Jericho of old, and he's going to have some banger matches, and he's going to make more money than he can at this stage of the game. And the Talk is Jericho podcast may be with the Fanatics podcast family. There's a lot more pros for Jericho joining WWE now than it would be for him to stay in AEW. Walls of Jericho. Styles countered that into a calf crusher. Cena fought out of that. AJ nailed a Styles clash perfectly on Cena for a 2. Styles then went for a phenomenal forearm. Cena caught him and hit a Sister Abigail. He hit Bray Wyatt's finish. Kiss to the forehead and all. After the Sister Abigail was hit, he goes for recovery, gets a 2 count. Crowd went crazy. And there was chants for Bray Wyatt. Wade Barrett mentioned Bray Wyatt. He said on commentary, and I quote, "We miss you, pal." John Cena was laying in the ring. And after the 2 count, AJ kicked out of the Sister Abigail. 13,000 people in Perth broke out the flashlights on their cell phone. And there was 13,000 fireflies that came out chanting Bray Wyatt. Thank you, Bray. Thank you, Bray. John Cena looked around, and if John Cena wasn't wrestling, he probably would have broke down and cried right in the middle of that ring. I don't know how you could look at that and see what John Cena did and the way the match was produced and then cry about, oh, there was too many finishes. They ruined people's finishes. They made a mockery of everybody's finish. Did you see the reaction when Sister Abigail was hit? What it did to the fans in Perth? Give me a fucking break. Unbelievable. Cena smiled, he looked up, and he thanked Bray. Styles followed with a Christopher Daniels Angel's Wings. So AJ is paying thanks to Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and Sting, because AJ's retiring next year, supposedly, and he's not going to be able to wrestle Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, or Sting. Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels are in AEW. Daniels is retired as an active in-ring performer, so is Sting. Samoa Joe is wrestling Adam Page at WrestleDream for the AEW World Championship, but he's under AEW contract, so he cannot wrestle these men. Angel's Wings for 2. They tried to counters until Cena set up for a pedigree. Styles countered into a Deadeye for 2. Now, I don't know where the Deadeye comes in, but he nailed John Cena with it. He got a 2 count. Cena then followed with Randy Orton's draping DDT, which Michael Cole said was vintage John Cena, because she usually says it's vintage Randy Orton. Cena followed with an RKO after the vintage Randy Orton DDT. Crowd went crazy, and they loved that. Then Cena, after the DDT, after the RKO, which he nailed perfectly, by the way. Cena hit a beautiful RKO. He set up for Randy Orton's punt kick. Styles avoided that, and he gets Cena up in an AA. He hits an AA on John Cena. He only gets a 2 count. Styles was about to do the 5-knuckle shuffle. Cena grabbed him by the throat. Now, this was great. This was my favorite spot of the match because I didn't really expect this. Outside the Bray spot, this was my favorite part of the match. After the 5-knuckle shuffle, he was about to do the 5-knuckle shuffle, so he was on his back. He did the whole thing. Cena grabbed him by the throat, like The Undertaker usually does when he was on the mat and gets back into the match. He grabbed him up by the throat. He gets up and he hits a choke slam to pay homage to The Undertaker. Or if you want to go back to Happy Gilmore, like Bob Barker and Adam Sandler while they're on the golf course fucking having a wrestling match. Same deal. Loved it. Then all of a sudden the crowd chanted 619, 619. And I didn't think they were going to do a 619 spot, but John Cena tripped up Styles. Styles goes face first into the second rope. He's hanging up there, and Cena runs the ropes as if he's going to hit a 619. Now, he didn't hit it. He was going for it, but Styles came off the ropes and immediately hit a clothesline. I think AJ Styles did a good thing there because I don't think that John Cena would have hit a good 619. Cena looks like a stiff fucking... He's a stiff body out there. He's not the most nimble guy. So for him doing a 619, I think AJ Styles pretty much spared him some embarrassment. But the setup was great. I don't think the move in actuality would have been good. Clothesline down. Styles followed with a springboard 450. He didn't get all of it. It didn't look pretty, but he got enough of it. Styles then tuned up the band and hit Sweet Chin Music for 2. A match that I believe... everybody wanted, never got it. AJ Styles versus HBK. Who knows? That might be the fucking WrestleMania match. We don't know. Michaels might come out of retirement for that match. Probably not, but I think we have it in our minds that AJ versus Gunther would be a great WrestleMania retirement match for AJ Styles. Styles hit a phenomenal forearm for a 2. Cena hit an AA for a near fall. Styles hit a high cross. Cena rolled through, and he caught him off the top rope. He usually does that roll through backwards. He was going for an AA, but he hits a tombstone pile driver instead. So instead of putting him on his shoulders for an AA, he puts him in a tombstone position and dropped down and hit a tombstone pile driver perfectly. And then he goes for the AA. 1, 2, 3. John Cena beats AJ Styles in 27 minutes. This match was a love letter to everything that you loved about pro wrestling. John Cena took some of his inspirations and some career highlights, incorporated it into his match. He paid respect to a lot of his former opponents. AJ Styles did the same thing. If that was the kind of match that they were going to have, let's incorporate all that. Styles got his people. John Cena has his people. They blended it so beautifully together. And the way that they laid this match out, it wasn't just them doing, finishing move here from this guy and finishing move there from that guy. They made everything make sense from transition to transition, sequence to sequence. They made everything made sense. And I thought this was incredible. This was a great match. In fact, some people are saying this is the best John Cena match all year. I would probably put this... Is it above the match at Cody or with Cody at SummerSlam? That's tough. Is this better than the match with Logan Paul at Clash in Paris? I would say yes. Is this better than the match with Sami Zayn? Yes. The only other match that right now it could rival is the one with Cody Rhodes, and they really put on, desperately needed to be a great match, and it was. If I was to choose one or the other, I'd probably choose this one. I just think that match coming in left a bad taste in my mouth. They did what they could to salvage whatever they did at WrestleMania, but this one felt a little bit more genuine. This felt a little bit more pure, and I do think that for the sake of John Cena's last 5 appearances, putting him up against AJ Styles was probably the most beautiful thing that WWE could have done. This was a great match. And if there is anything that you go back and watch on this show, this is one of the 2 things you go back and watch. This was a great match. John Cena was helped to his feet by Styles, or rather, Cena helped Styles to his feet. They hugged. They raised each other's arms. Styles left the ring so Cena could stand in the ring by himself alone and celebrate. He then went over to ringside and kissed his wife, who was sitting there in the front row. Cena posed for the Australian fans one last time before leaving. And John Cena's last international date is now in the books. Where do we go with John Cena with 4 dates to go? The next 2 dates are in Boston and in New York. That New York show is at Madison Square Garden. I don't know what they do with John Cena on those shows. I do hope for John Cena's sake and our sake, he's wrestling on those shows. I don't know when this supposed tournament is going to take place. I would absolutely have 4 from Raw and 4 from SmackDown if that is the case. If they want to go and make it 16-man, I'd be up for that too. This is a big deal, and you only get 1 John Cena final match. And I don't think John Cena is going to be back after he retires. He's not going to be one of those guys that comes back for a big Saudi payday. I do think that it's over. So you want to really kind of ride the wave and make it the most important happening in all of WWE this year. John Cena's final match. Sheamus. Rusev. Dominic Mysterio. Whoever else you want from Monday Night Raw. I had mentioned Ilya Dragunov. I had mentioned Drew McIntyre for the SmackDown side. Carmelo Hayes. The Miz. Maybe we get Jacob Fatu in that tournament. I do think that WWE is going to set up a tournament to find out who wrestles John Cena on December 13th. Gunther is the rumored final opponent. He'd almost have to be in the tournament if that was the case. So the Monday Night Raw side, if there was a tournament, theoretically, if we're thinking about it, Sheamus, Rusev, Dominic, and Gunther. And then on the SmackDown side, Drew McIntyre, Jacob Fatu. Then you got Miz and Carmelo Hayes. And the reason why I include McIntyre, Fatu, Miz, Carmelo Hayes, because they have tensions. They have issues now. And I'd like to see WWE incorporate their existing stories into this tournament. Miz is feuding with Carmelo. Miz also has history with John Cena. Drew McIntyre's called out a final match with John Cena and very much wants John Cena before he retires. This has been months in the making. This is not something he's just recently asked for. This is something that he's actually wanted. And he's feuding right now with Jacob Fatu. Incorporate those 2 feuds into the tournament. And then on the Monday Night Raw side, obviously you got Sheamus, who has history with John Cena. You got Rusev, who has history with John Cena. You got Dominic, who apparently a lot of fans want to see Dominic and John Cena in the ring together. And then you got Gunther, who, if the report is right, will win the tournament. And that will be the final match. Now, the other rumor was John Cena wrestling Dominic Mysterio at the Survivor Series for the Intercontinental Championship. You would almost have to give him the Intercontinental Championship if that was the case. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if that is a Survivor Series PLE match. If I'm booking it, I do John Cena in War Games just to get him in there with the likes of Lesnar and Breaker and Seth Rollins, who he also has great history with. And I do Dominic versus John Cena on one of those two upcoming Raws, either in DC or not DC, in Boston or New York. Those are happening, I think, in the second and third week of November. Those are the last two dates for John Cena on the East Coast. Then we go to Survivor Series West Coast and then right back to the East Coast in DC. And that's it. 4 more dates for John Cena. That's what I would do. I would do Dominic versus John Cena on one of those 2 Monday Night Raws, either in Boston or in New York. But this was tremendous. This was tremendous. One of the best matches that WWE put on all year. Guys, I'm going to take a little bit of a break here. I am going to give way to my sponsor for tonight's show, RexMD. Make sure you guys visit the link down in the description. And make sure you go support my fine friends tonight sponsoring the WWE Crown Jewel post show right here on Off the Script. Wrestling fans, let's be honest, man. Every legend eventually comes back for one more run. It's pro wrestling. You know that, and I know that. But in real life, sometimes you need a little help making that big comeback. That's where RexMD steps in. Look, millions of men deal with ED every single year. It's not a heel turn, it's just reality. The problem is nobody wants to sit in a waiting room or cut a promo about it to a doctor in person. That's where RexMD takes all of that away. It's 100% online, discreet, and the meds are FDA approved. No awkward conversations, no pharmacy trips, just fast, private delivery right to your front door. All you do is take a short quiz about your health history and goals. A U.S. licensed medical provider reviews it, and if it's right for you, your treatment ships in just 2 days. It's like getting booked in the main event without having to leave gorilla position. My 2 favorite things about RexMD, number 1, the discretion. Comes in a private packaging, so it feels like getting a surprise merch box. And the empowerment, man. You're back in control. You're confident and ready when the bell rings. That's something every champion needs. So don't put your love life on hold. Take back control today and get started with RexMD and get up to 95% off ED treatment right now by visiting rexmd.com/JD from NY, or just simply scan the QR code that you guys see on screen right now. See full details and usage at rexmd.com. Prescription is required. Results may vary. Confidence starts here, fellas, with RexMD, and I want to thank RexMD for sponsoring the show right here on Off the Script. Thank you guys for joining me here on the Crown Jewel Pro Show right here on Off the Script. Once again, sponsored by my friends over at RexMD. Sidro, you are quite the comedian, bro. Quite the comedian. Sidro says, got short arms? Join RexMD. It'll give you an extra hand. And it may be a short-handed offer, but you will be glad you did. Says Sidro. Thank you, brother. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Please hit that subscribe button down below if you have not done so. If you're new around here, make sure you do that. This is the #1 live stream in the entire community. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. The numbers prove it themselves. Every time there is a show, whether it's Raw, even with TNT, Wednesday Night Dynamite with Jesse and I, who will be back on Wednesday, by the way. He was sick this week. He'll be back in Collision Corner, is ripped and ready to go. And then on Friday Night SmackDown, the #1 stream in the community, we got 2,300 people in here. So make sure you guys go and check out all the content. Hit that subscribe button down below. Please hit that thumbs up. We are less than 200 likes away from 1,000 likes. And please get those super chats in. It's the best way to support what I do here on Off the Script. IYO SKY and Rhea Ripley against Asuka and Kairi Sane. This There's a homecoming for Rhea Ripley, and apparently it was her birthday today. 29th birthday. 29. I was actually kind of surprised to see that being the case. I thought she was a lot older. 29. Imagine that. Imagine how great Rhea Ripley is right now. She's not even in her 30s yet, bro. That is crazy. That is crazy to even think about. This story has largely been very simple but very effective, and for the better part of 2 months now, this has carried Monday Night Raw as probably the best thing on the show. Now, we've had CM Punk and AJ Lee. We've had Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch herself is doing some great work. Now we got the Bloodline story taking place on Monday with the tensions between Roman and his cousins, and Jimmy being upset at Roman for how Jay is acting. So we got some nice stories on Raw. Even the Dominic and Judgment Day story, which has kind of fizzled out a little bit because there was some tensions there with Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. But the one thing that's been very consistent is the story between all four of these ladies. Now, some of the acting is questionable, but the story has largely been effective. And it's effective because it's simple. This is a relatable story. Now, IYO obviously sees Kairi and Asuka as friends. Asuka is jealous that IYO found friendship in Rhea. She thinks that IYO betrayed her and Kairi. Asuka's upset. So, obviously, in pro wrestling trope, we get Asuka turning heel on her now ex-best friend IYO. And the Kabuki Warriors are a tag team, and Kairi is being strung along because Kairi loves IYO, but she also wants to remain very loyal to Asuka because this is her family. Kairi only wanted all of them back together. All three of them are a family. So she's heartbroken out of all this. Asuka does not care. She wants IYO back in the family. IYO found friendship in Rhea. Asuka took this as disrespect and not being loyal. And we are where we are. It's a very simple story to tell. Meanwhile, Rhea, saw IYO struggling with this, and she tried to convince IYO that this is not really the family you think they are. They're going to stab you in the back. I know a thing or two about having my family turn on me because she was in the Judgment Day and she went through that. So she's trying to tell IYO exactly what she went through. And in the end, IYO eventually trusted Rhea, and Rhea trusts IYO. So this made for a great match and a match that made sense. Asuka and Sane attacked as the bell rang. Rhea got an obviously huge reaction here. Everyone's involved. IYO was alone with Asuka. Sky got the better of their exchange. The crowd sang her name as she hit Asuka with a suicide dive, which looked beautiful. IYO dodged an attack by Kairi. Then that allowed Asuka to shove Sky into the ring post. Rhea Ripley is trying to get into the match. Obviously, the ref is trying to hold her back. She's got her back turned, and the heels worked over IYO behind the referee's back. 2-on-1. Fans ended up calling Asuka a wanker. Everybody's a wanker in Australia, huh? Kairi Sane cut off IYO's hot tag attempt and then kind of teased Rhea Ripley into getting involved, which obviously, Rhea's got that raw emotion. You push Rhea enough, she's going to react. Then the referee gets involved, which led to a distraction. So they double-teamed IYO. Asuka hits a combination of strikes. Sane hits a big double foot stomp. She goes for a cover. She gets a 2 count. IYO fired up, no-sold multiple strikes, and some slaps by Asuka. Asuka kept going. IYO hits a flapjack on Asuka. Rhea Ripley eventually gets the hot tag and hit Kairi Sane with clotheslines and a kick to the head for a 2 count. Sane cut her off, and now the heels are back in control, this time on Rhea Ripley. Ripley eventually fights back. She nailed Kairi in the face with a big boot. Rhea Ripley gave Kairi Sane a razor's edge, which is paying homage to her guy there, Damian Priest. IYO followed with a unbelievable missile dropkick for a 2. IYO's got the best missile dropkick in the business. Sane gave Sky an Alabama slam and knocked Rhea Ripley off the apron. Io brought Sane off the top rope with an arm drag. She goes up to the top herself, but Asuka distracted her while she was up there. Kairi then knocked down Io and drove Rhea Ripley into the steel steps. Eventually, IYO SKY wiped out all of the heel team with an Asai moonsault. She followed with a moonsault on Kairi in the ring. Asuka broke up the cover on the pinfall. Asuka knocked Io off the top rope, and Rhea Ripley comes in with some strikes, or hit Rhea Ripley with some strikes. She then held down Ripley as Sane hit the insane elbow double team move that they usually finish their opponents off with. Io quickly broke up the cover. Rhea Ripley and Asuka then are in there trading strikes and counters. Rhea hits a thrust kick right to Asuka's face. She then dropped Asuka face first on the top turnbuckle and set up for an avalanche riptide, but Kairi tagged herself in blind and broke it up. Rhea Ripley booted Sane off the apron, and she took a move for Asuka in the process. So she shoved Asuka out of the way and took the bullet for Asuka. So the loyalty to Asuka is still strong from Kairi Sane. Rhea Ripley gave Kairi a riptide. Io followed with a over the moonsault for the 1-2-3 with Io pinning Kairi Sane. 20 minutes they gave these ladies. Very good match. The fans were into Rhea, no doubt about it. But they were kind of into Io, but they really weren't into the Kabuki Warriors. It was a very strange mix of reaction. But I don't know where we go from here. I mentioned on TNT this week, I would do Asuka and Io at Saturday night's main event. Now, the rumor is for Saturday night's main event, it's going to be CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for the World's Heavyweight Championship. Like, I have no interest in seeing that. I would also do Io versus Asuka, and I would do Roman versus Braun Breaker. Now, I don't know what WWE's planning to do for that show, but this was a very good tag team match. 20 minutes. Obviously, Rhea winning in Australia was the right move to make here. I think the Kabuki Warriors need to get their heat back on Monday. I do not think this is over. And we will see what happens on Monday. But I thought this was very good. Main event. Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes for the Men's Crown Jewel Championship. Rollins wore the watch Cody Rhodes gifted him to the ring. He's got this thing about this Rolex. So we get the big introduction. They really made this feel like it was a huge deal. So early on, Rollins gets slammed by Cody Rhodes. He tries rolling out of the ring. He goes outside. He's frustrated. Rollins is now frustrated, not only because of how the match started, but the fans are calling him a wanker. He then goes over to the commentary table and he starts shoving Michael Cole. He starts pointing at Wade Barrett. This is all your fault. This is all your fault. He started this on SmackDown. Rollins attacked Rhodes from behind. He finally gets back on track here. Rollins attacked Rhodes from behind. Rhodes draped over the barricade now. Rollins hits a double foot stomp, jumping off the barricade right in between Cody's shoulders. Now, Rollins also knocked over the Prime bottle, which draw cheers from the fans. I'm assuming they don't like Logan Paul or Prime Energy in Australia. Rhodes went for a disaster kick. Rollins ran up behind him and hit a sit-out powerbomb for 2. Rollins targeted Rhodes' arms and shoulders now because of the double foot stomp spot. So he's now targeting the arms and the shoulders. He's mocking Cody. He does the Stardust cartwheel and then the Stardust pose, mocking Cody Rhodes. Rollins comes back with some dusty jabs. Rhodes comes back with some dusty jabs of his own. Which is only fair because Cody's played a lot of mind games with Seth Rollins, so now Rollins is playing some mind games with Cody Rhodes. Rollins applied a figure four. He's talking shit to Cody about his father tapping out to the figure four, and now he's going to make him tap out to the figure four. Rhodes struggled for a little bit. He finally reversed the figure four. The pressure's now on Seth Rollins. He gets to the rope. Rhodes fights back. He gets Rollins up on his shoulders and delivers a vertebraker, which is one of the more dangerous moves in the sport. But it looked great, and it looked safe enough for Cody to deliver it. Rhodes then a power slam, disaster kick, jabs, a bionic elbow, a suicide dive, and a Cody cutter, which only got him a 2 count. Rollins avoided a disaster kick. He follows up with a pedigree. He goes for recovery, gets a 2 count. Rhodes tried a crossroads, but Rollins hit one of his own. It's basically, we're just stealing each other's finish in WWE 2K. WWE 2K even got a mention in the AJ Styles John Cena match. Wade Barrett and Michael Cole mentioned that the match was almost as if you created 2 superstars in WWE 2K and you gave them everyone's finishing move. Now, I don't know if that's a great way to look at it because that just sounds bad. Like the match is unimaginative and it's lame, but yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. A lot of relying on finishing moves and kick out of finishing moves on a normal night. Like for the John Cena AJ Styles match, everybody complained about it, but John Cena's been doing that for the last 3 or 4 matches. It's like, what are you complaining about? Nobody complained about it when he did it with Sami Zayn. Nobody complained about it when he did it with Logan Paul. Why is everybody complaining now that he did it with AJ Styles? If anybody, Cody Rhodes does way too many crossroads, and it takes like 7 crossroads to finish off his opponent. I have more of a problem with Seth Rollins using a pedigree as a setup move. And then people kick out, and he does it multiple times in a night. If there's anything to complain about, it's that. Honestly. So Rollins hits a crossroads of his own. Rhodes avoided a Phoenix Splash because Rollins went up top. He rolls through a Super Cody Cutter. He missed a Super Cody Cutter. And Rollins hit a curb stomp for a near fall. So that was a great spot. The Phoenix Splash. Cody went up top, went for a big Super Cody Cutter. He fell flat back, jumping off the top rope backwards. And then Rollins, with him down on the floor, seen an opening, and he hit the curb stomp. That was a great spot. Rollins then grabbed the watch. He wrapped it around his fist. He then thought better of it, and he placed the watch in his corner underneath the turnbuckle. Nobody saw it. Nobody made a mention of it. Well, the commentary made a mention of it, but the referee didn't care. Rhodes met him with a Cody Cutter on a crossroads for a near fall. Cody always hits his big moves, and then everybody kicks out of it. It's like going to the bar, man. 1 beer's not enough. You need 3 or 4 beers to feel that fucking buzz. It's like 3 or 4 Cody Rhodes, Cody Cutters and a fucking crossroads is enough to get a buzz. Then the 5th one, then that's the one that finishes the match. Rollins repeatedly kicked Rhodes as he was trapped upside down in the corner. The referee starts to pull Rollins away. Cody Rhodes is still trapped. Rollins went back to go kick him some more. He then goes up top in the opposite corner and delivers a coast-to-coast headbutt for a near fall. Now, he was on the post-show, and he said that the headbutt, coast-to-coast, was a dangerous move, and it may have some long-term ramifications. I don't know what that means. I don't know if he was legitimately knocked out or something happened to him in this match, or he was just selling the fact that the move was great, and it was a dangerous one, but it went off great. I don't know. Hopefully he's okay. So Rollins is up top now. Spanish fly with Cody Rhodes off the top rope. And then he delivers a manhandle slam. So he's now taking moves from his wife. He goes for a near fall, a cover, and gets a near fall. They find themselves on the top rope again. Rhodes nailed an avalanche crossroads. I'll give you one guess if the match ended there. If the answer is no, you are correct. An avalanche crossroads did not get the job done. Don't know why we're doing avalanche crossroads for a 2 count, but that's Cody Rhodes for you. They trade spots. Rhodes sets up for a pedigree. Now Cody wants to do the pedigree. It's bad enough Rollins does a pedigree, and people kick out. Now Cody wants to do a pedigree. Rollins gets out of it, crawled right into the corner where the watch was placed. Rollins wrapped it around his hand. Rollins accidentally, but not really, bumped the referee, who goes down. Rhodes sets up for the crossroads. With the watch in hand, Rollins punched upwards and knocked Cody out with the watch wrapped around his fist with a straight shot to the face. Now, that's a white gold Rolex. Hopefully, Seth Rollins has a watch guy that could fix that sapphire crystal. And any scratches that would have been scuffed on the bracelet of that watch. A Rolex watch repair is not cheap, bro. I would know. I used to work in watches for many years. Rollins hits the curb stomp, and then he goes off the middle rope for a second rope curb stomp. And that was enough for the win. Rollins beats Cody Rhodes. Not totally clean. He needed help from his Rolex, but he did not get help from the Vision. The Vision was not out there. Braun Breaker did not show face. Bronson Reed did not show face. Paul Heyman did not even walk Seth Rollins to ringside. Rollins won this match on his own. The vibe in the Vision tomorrow night is what I'm going to be paying the most attention to. Are they going to be happy that Rollins has lifted this dark veil, this dark cloud that was hanging over him for weeks? Are they going to embrace him as the leader that he is? Or are they going to look at him a little bit different, that he needed to use a white gold Rolex to cheat, to beat his arch nemesis? I don't know. But Paul Heyman knew. Paul Heyman knew that Rollins was going to win. He gave him that speech a few times. You're going to do it. You're going to do it. But what if I don't, Paul? Maybe Paul Heyman's approach, his anti-Vision approach, his honesty, snapped some sense into Seth Rollins. I don't know. This was a great match. This was actually a match worthy of a WrestleMania main event. That's how good it was. I don't really like the overabundance of finishing moves in a normal WWE setting. Like, I can understand it with John Cena, and I can understand it with what he's doing. Like, it's not that deep. It's not that serious. But every Cody Rhodes match ends up being the fucking same. We get like 6 crossroads before the match is over. It's like, bro, all we need is 1 or 2. We don't need 6. We really don't. It's a little ridiculous. It's almost downright comical at points. This was a WrestleMania main event match on a B-level international WWE PLE. The story coming in was like a WrestleMania main event story. The only thing is, neither championship was on the line, and we got these stupid Crown Jewel championships in a dumb fucking ring on the line. But they wrestled great. 30 minutes. Every bit of a main event as you would expect from WWE. The one thing that I loved most about this is that the match didn't have an overabundance of interference. It wasn't overbooked like WWE usually does with these main event matches. They had such a reliance on the overbooked main events, the overabundance of interferences, the comical way that they went about booking these matches, only to end up with the heel winning. Because there's interferences all over the place. The best approach is the simplest approach. 1-on-1, one guy wins, and one guy loses. You don't need 1,000 interferences for a guy to win a match. There are other ways to do that. There are other ways to tell the story. WWE had to know that they were burning their fucking audience out on an overabundance of interference. And that the simple method of a heel taking such a slight, cheap way out, in this case with Rollins using the Rolex, is all you need. He got the job done. It wasn't totally clean, but he won on his own. And he won by using some cheap tactics that got over the referee. That's all you need. And it was enough to further the story. It was enough because Rollins made a mention of the Rolex. Why am I gifted this Rolex? What are you trying to tell me, Cody? Are you trying to tell me that you're far superior to me by handing me this Rolex? Then Rollins goes on to say, I never wanted to help you beat Roman Reigns. You were just the lesser of two evils. I helped you because we needed to end Roman. But me, I always felt like I deserved that spot more than you. So what are you trying to prove by handing me this Rolex? He thought that Cody was telling him that Cody was better than him because he handed him this expensive fucking watch. And that expensive fucking watch was the end-all be-all for Cody Rhodes tonight. Story. It was a focus and then ended up being the reason why Rollins won. It's going to be funny if Rollins comes out wearing that Rolex on Monday on Raw. It's also going to be interesting to see the vibe in the vision. Are they going to embrace their leader? Or are they going to look at him like he's just a pretender to the throne? Now we build towards War Games. What is the vision going to look like? Is there 3 men? What is the babyface team going to look like? How are we going to assemble them? A lot of questions to be answered. Monday Night Raw should be a good one. This was a great show. If you did not think this was a great show, you're simply hating. This was probably one of the better WWE PLEs of the year. I put this up next to Evolution and Elimination Chamber as the best WWE PLEs all year. And I feel like WWE, we're not there. I feel like WWE going into Survivor Series is going to be telling some better stories than they have for both WrestleMania and SummerSlam collectively. And I do feel like the second half of WWE is really going to mark how successful Triple H's 2025 has been creatively. Like, he needs to nail the next 3 months. He needs to nail October, November, and December. And right now, we are in the beginning stages of getting some really good shows on Monday. Hopefully Friday follow suit. And I feel like with this show going into Survivor Series, I feel like that's going to be a great show. It needs to be a great show. It needs to. And then we got the build towards John Cena's last match and Saturday night's main event. The second half of the year will determine how people look at the totality of Triple H's 2025. There's been a lot of bad, but I think he could basically save himself from being a complete bust if he delivers on the last 3 months of the year. Thank you guys for a great stream. We had upwards towards 2,200 people in here on a random off Saturday afternoon stream for this very early PLE. Thank you guys very much for all your support. If you did enjoy the post show, please hit that thumbs up. Please hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications. And please go check out all the content on the channel. There's plenty of it. And if you want to get your super chats in, it is the absolute best way to support what I do here on the channel. Let's get into your super chats. We're going to start off with Michael Krause with a $2 super chat. Good Saturday, JD, OTS. Hope all is well. Let's go. Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Lucas with a $4.99. So much better than WrestlePalooza. Yes. Yes, WrestlePalooza was shit compared to what we got tonight. Olivia with a $5 super chat coming to us from Bulgaria. Hey, JD, had the rare luxury to enjoy 3 p.m. start here in Bulgaria. Watched the show with a couple of friends and had a blast. Wish Randy showed up, though. We'll see what happens on Friday. I don't know if Randy even made the trip to Australia. Thank you, Olivia. Clone Force with a $4.99. I see fans mad and angry that Roman lost to Reed, and they are saying they are ruining Roman. Fans like that book with their feelings. Well, those fans are, for lack of a better term, Clone Force, they are fucking stupid. Do not listen to such people. Bronson Reed needed to win that match. And I stress in capital words, needed. Olivia with a 2 from Bulgaria. Opening match was meh. The rest were bangers. The King's Concert Experience with a $14.99 coming to us from Australia. My brother and I were at Crown Jewel tonight. Cena and AJ absolutely stole the show. Match of the night. Also, thanks for the birthday cameo, JD. Best gift ever. Much love from Josh and Greg in Tasmania. OTS for life. Brother, thank you so very much, and you are very welcome. Hopefully your birthday was a good one. OTS, man. Far and wide. We got fans in Tasmania. Shout out to Greg and Josh. Hidden Network with a super chat. Crown Jewel was fantastic from top to bottom. Cena and Styles gave us a masterclass. OTS for life. Well, AJ did say it was going to be a banger. They were going to leave it all out in the ring, and they absolutely did that. Sidro with a $2 super chat. An Aussie's idea of foreplay. You awake, Sheila? Never change, Sidro. Never change. JP Gordo with a 5. What's going on, JD? Cheers to you, JD. What do you think of these WWE AI memes and reels on social media with past celebrities? I think they're fucking deplorable. Honestly, I can't stand it. Who enjoys watching that type of content? You know what bothers me is the fact that people are going to start making money off of AI-generated fucking Tupac and past dead celebrities in a WWE setting that's going to accumulate millions of views. That's going to be the next thing. Faceless YouTube channels making multi-millions of dollars. And it's also creepy. Sidro with a $2 super chat. What do you call a soap's excrements? A shampoo. Michelle with a $10 super chat. What do you see happening with Seth now? I think his ego gets the best of him, and at War Games, his team finally turns on him. Does Roman go to SmackDown now? No, I think Roman stays on Raw. I think War Games might be... I don't know what happens to the division. You got to keep the division going till at least WrestleMania. Justin with the 38 months. I love the tributes to old rivalries in the Cena Styles match. Absolutely fantastic. Of course it was. Any normal fan would find that to be fucking great. Trey Lindsay with 18 months. 6 months until that gorgeous golden microphone. Cheers to the best post shows and the two-man show in the space. No one is even close. Let's fucking go. Bro, whether I'm on Tuesday with the Solid Monster or Wednesday with Jesse, man. It doesn't matter. We got the best show in the community. Thank you, Trey. Sidro with a $2 super chat. Why is sex while camping better? Because it's intense. You get it? Intense. Never change, bro. John Lamy with 38 months. He leaves no messages. Thank you, John. JP Gordo with a $2 super chat. WWE finally opened their eyes. OTS for life. Yes, that C rating definitely ruffled their feathers. Sidra with a 5. Want to hear a shitty joke? One turd looks at another, throws up a peace sign, and says, "Deuces." And what kind of streets do ghosts haunt? Dead ends. You know what I always found odd? How there's a house, and then right next to it is like a graveyard. Or someone lives across the street from a cemetery. Isn't that fucking creepy? Couldn't be me, bro. I know those fucking spirits are coming into the house, man, when everybody's sleeping. I don't want that. Miles Marable with a $1.99. Every AJ Cena match is a banger. Absolutely. Demon Slayer with a $1.99. Thank you for my birthday cameo. Hashtag OTS. My pleasure, brother. Happy to do it for you. BCFC Man 123 with a $1.99. B plus easy John Cena match was match of the night. Not going to argue with you, bro. It was great. I'd probably agree with you. Dave Scheffler with a $5 super chat. The callbacks in the Cena Styles match were great, especially the Sister Abigail with the Fireflies coming out in Perth. Fucking awesome. Awesome, bro. The Son of Warriors with a $2 super chat. JD, number one, much appreciation to you from Kuwait. Man, we got Kuwait. We got Bulgaria. We got Tasmania. OTS is worldwide, huh? Worldwide! Like Titus. Baltimore Jackson with a $1.99. Just stopping by to give you a shout out, JD. OTS for life. Thank you, Jackson. King Zagar with a $4.99. Ever since ESPN gave their honest review, it definitely made the show slightly better. Kudos to WWE for taking the feedback from ESPN. We'd like to think so, bro. Not ready to give WWE the benefit of the doubt yet. They've been very anti-fan all year. Steph Curry fan 500 with a $5 super chat. What do you think about Gunther being John Cena's final opponent? I would have it no other way, bro. Gunther is the true final boss. Olivia Lover with a $2 from Bulgaria. Fight Forever chance. A dagger in the sicko's heart. Yes. Them in their failed video game where I think the only one even playing it still is Evil Uno. Simply the Pope with a 41 months. I thought it was a pretty decent show. It was better than decent, bro. It was a B+. B+ for sure. Base Beerus. What's up, brother? $2 super chat. Bronson Reed is hot garbage. Wow, that's certainly a take, huh? Tell us how you feel, man. I get it. He's not for everybody. I get it. Siren with 34 months. If Cena faces Dom, I would have Cena win the IC title, face Sheamus for the belt at Saturday night's main event. Sheamus goes over and wins his first IC title. Now, we're not going to hot potato the title like that. If Cena does lose, he probably gives it right back to Gunther. Sidro with a $2 super chat. I could see them giving it to Gunther for the simple reason that they put it on Dragunov. Maybe. Might be wishful thinking. Sidro with a $2 super chat. Love Mexican food. The chicken case of ideas be good. Lavelle with a 5. Is Cena versus Styles match of the year? And how well do you think Zelina and Alistair will do together? Wish we could get them versus Cross and Scarlett. Well, the way WWE is thinking is, why get Cross and Scarlett when they have Zelina and Alistair they could team up and just make into the new Cross and Scarlett? And is Cena Styles match of the year? No. No, it's not. Sunny Singh with a 199 and a 199. Keep up the great work, JD. OTS for life. TKO needs to leave for good. TKO is not going anywhere, bro. We got to deal with it. We got to deal with it. Boss Mo Jackson with a 199. I'd like to see Jericho as Cena's final opponent. No. Not going to happen. Jericho will be there and Cena will be long gone. Captain Solo with a $2 super chat. We need a CM Punk versus AJ Styles program. They wrestled once already. I think they were in a match together, weren't they? Arcade the Hedgehog, $2 super chat. Have we ever questioned how there are two Undertakers? Yes. That was for Leslie Nielsen to uncover. I suggest you go back to 1994 and relive that horrible storyline. Boss Mo Jackson with a 499. Cena vs. AJ should be match of the year candidate, but his last match should be against Drew, in my opinion. Someone established or rising the ranks. Cena vs. AJ will be match of the year candidate. It's not going to be match of the year. I think the WWE match of the year right now is probably, if I was to choose one, the top three are probably Rhea Io at Evolution, the triple threat match between Rollins, Punk, and Reigns, and then the triple threat match between Rhea Io and Bianca. Cena's up there with Logan Paul. Cena's up there with Cody at SummerSlam. Cena's up there with Styles. Cena has 3 of the best WWE matches all year. Yes. But none of them are actual match of the year. $10 super chat from Zeno Zero. JD, what if they add an incentive to winning the tournament? They give the winner extra motivation against Cena. If you beat him, you get a title match against your show's champion. Could be. I actually am totally for something like that. I think it just puts extra incentive on top of the final match with John Cena. Sidro with a $2 super chat. You could say it was Cody's time to lose. Watch out. That's why I said, bro, he's got to go find a new watch sponsorship. No more Rolexes. Ed the Hatter with a $9.99. Big fan for many years, JD. Cheers. Ed in Norwich, UK. Man, we are worldwide today, brother. Thank you so very much, man. Bobby Knoxville with a $5 super chat. Another awesome stream. I'm 18 months sober today. You and this community have played a big part in my journey. Thanks for being you, JD. OTS for life. Bobby, that is tremendous. And I commend you immensely, bro. 18 months sober is a beautiful thing. Congratulations, man. Keep that shit going. You got support from me and everybody else here. Coiled Phoenix with a 46 months. Hey, JD, I've been thinking, and I feel that the perfect opponent for Cena's last match is none other than Kurt Angle. It's the perfect full circle moment. I don't think Kurt is in any condition to wrestle. If Kurt was 100% healthy and ready to go, I'd probably say maybe. Maybe. Boss Mo Jackson with a 199. Titus sliding under the ring turned me away from Crown Jewel. It's pretty embarrassing. Triple M with a 2. Enjoying the rest of my day. Need to play D2 sometime. Yeah, bro. I got to find some time to play too, man. I'm slowly grinding to 500, man. I think I'm at 470. It's boring. I still have some things to chase. I still need a tier 5 mint retrograde. I'm trying to get a lot of tier 5 armor, so I have multiple armor sets I could use. I got some things to chase, but playing the same activity over and over again is not exciting to me. Bobby Means with a 5. 3 matches I would love to see, all involving Brock. Brock versus Braun Breaker, Brock versus Gunther would be a clinic, and Brock versus Fatu equals money. I agree on all 3. Shadow Play, greetings from Romania. Biggest fan here. OTS for life. Oh my goodness, man. Shadow Play, thank you, brother. An Angel from Philly. Hey, JD, shout out to you. And what the fuck are you drinking with the $2 super chat? I don't know, man. I'll let you guys know in about an hour when I get to the pub after the stream is over. Thank you guys for a great show tonight, man. You guys killed it. Over 2 hours, the #1 fucking stream in the community, man. No one's even close. No one touches OTS. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications and go check out all the content on the channel. Plenty of it. Next time you see me live will be on Monday night for Monday Night Raw. We got a lot to talk about then. Thank you guys for a great afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your Saturdays, and I'll see you right back here live on the post show on Off the Script. Why? Because we're the best of the best of the best. I'll see you guys later.